It was a summer's night, and they were talking, in the big room with the windows open to the garden, about the cesspool. The county council had promised to bring water to the village, but they hadn't. Mrs. Haynes, the wife of the gentleman farmer, a goose-faced woman with eyes protruding as if they saw something to gobble in the gutter, said affectedly, "What a subject to talk about on a night like this!" Then there was silence, and a cow coughed, and that led her to say how odd it was. As a child, she had never feared cows, only horses. But then, as a small child in a perambulator, a great cart horse had brushed within an inch of her face. Her family, she told the old man in the armchair, had lived near Liskeard for many centuries. There were the graves in the churchyard to prove it. A bird chuckled outside. "A nightingale?" asked Mrs. Haynes. No, nightingales didn't come so far north. It was a daylight bird, chuckling over the substance and succulence of the day, over worms, snails, grit, even in sleep. The old man in the armchair, Mr. Oliver, of the Indian Civil Service, retired, said that the site they had chosen for the cesspool was, if he had heard aright, on the Roman road. From an aeroplane, he said, you could still see plainly marked the scars made by the Britons, by the Romans, by the Elizabethan manor house, and by the plough, when they ploughed the hill to grow wheat in the Napoleonic Wars. "But you don't remember," Mrs. Haynes began. No, not that. Still, he did remember, and he was about to tell them what, when there was a sound outside, and Isa, his son's wife, came in with her hair in pigtails. She was wearing a dressing gown with faded peacocks on it. She came in like a swan, swimming its way, then was checked and stopped, was surprised to find people there and lights burning. She had been sitting with her little boy who wasn't well, she apologised. What had they been saying? "Discussing the cesspool," said Mr. Oliver. "What a subject to talk about, on a night like this," Mrs. Haynes exclaimed again. What had he said about the cesspool? Or indeed about anything, Isa wondered, inclining her head towards the gentleman farmer, Rupert Haynes. She had met him at a bazaar and at a tennis party. He had handed her a cup and a racket. That was all. But in his ravaged face, she always felt mystery, and in his silence, passion. At the tennis party she had felt this, and at the bazaar. Now, a third time, if anything more strongly, she felt it again. "I remember," the old man interrupted, "my mother." Of his mother, he remembered that she was very stout, kept her tea-caddy locked, yet had given him in that very room a copy of Byron. It was over 60 years ago, he told them, that his mother had given him the works of Byron in that very room. He paused. "She walks in beauty, like the night," he quoted. Then again, "So we'll go no more a-roving by the light of the moon." Isa raised her head. The words made 2 rings, perfect rings, that floated them, herself and Haynes, like 2 swans downstream. But his snow-white breast was circled with a tangle of dirty duckweed, and she too, in her webbed feet, was entangled by her husband, the stockbroker. Sitting on her 3-cornered chair, she swayed, with her dark pigtails hanging, and her body like a bolster in its faded dressing gown. Mrs. Haynes was aware of the emotion circling them, excluding her. She waited, as one waits for the strain of an organ to die out before leaving church. In the car going home, to the red villa in the cornfields, she would destroy it, as a thrush pecks the wings of a butterfly. Allowing 10 seconds to intervene, she rose, paused, and then, as if she had heard the last strain die out, offered Mrs. Giles Oliver her hand. But Isa, though she should have risen at the same moment that Mrs. Haynes rose, sat on. Mrs. Haynes glared at her out of goose-like eyes, gobbling. "Please, Mrs. Giles Oliver, do me the kindness to recognise my existence," which she was forced to do, rising at last from her chair in her faded dressing gown, with the pigtails falling over each shoulder.